Hello, amazing people. Welcome back to Building Your Health Esteem. This is Jerome Craig, your host, and today we are picking up on part 2 of hydration and water. Now, one of the things that we know about optimal hydration is that it's not all about water. And if you listen to part 1 of this series, you'll understand that minerals are a big part of it. But what about those other things? What about alcohol? What about caffeine, tea, coffee? Everybody's need for water or hydration differs, right? It depends on the health, the size, the diet, general sweatiness. How about medications? All of these things affect our hydration status, and there's plenty of ways to become more hydrated rather than just drinking straight water. And we spoke about the problem with straight water in the previous episode. But if we look at studies, you'll see that alcohol, and to a greater degree, caffeinated beverages, do contribute to your daily hydration status. And this isn't just something I'm saying. You can go and see the studies. There's a bunch of them. I'll read you a title of one that you can find on PubMed. Black tea is not significantly different from water in the maintenance of normal hydration in human subjects. Results from a randomized controlled trial. There are trials in these things, and they look at what's going on with someone's hydration status, and they test it. And they'll look at how much water they're drinking versus other beverages versus their food, looking at coffee and tea. And guess what? They all contribute to hydration status. And this comes down to that fact that we are a sack of chemical reactions, and we are going to be separating things out via the digestive tract, the kidneys, the liver, and we will become hydrated by taking in liquids. Now, I do want to say that there's something known as vasopressin, or otherwise known as antidiuretic hormone, that alcohol seems to inhibit. So you may have experienced this phenomenon. You drink one beer and you have to pee out 3. Well, that ADH, that antidiuretic hormone of vasopressin, is inhibited by alcohol, meaning that your body doesn't hold on to the fluids as readily. Also, alcohol is considered a toxin in the system, so your body will prioritize the metabolism of alcohol, and therefore you'll find yourself peeing a little bit sooner than if you weren't drinking alcohol. So, how about these myths around this water consumption? We know that the 8x8 rule is not supported by science. And we know that most people, the vast majority of the population, adequately meets the daily hydration need by just letting thirst be their guide. There are a few other ways that our body tells us we need to drink more water. The dry mouth factor, or really weirdly dark, stinky pee. That means that you should probably be drinking more. Now, some people don't pay close attention to that thirst response and will reach for something like a piece of food when their mouth is dry, something cool, something refreshing, and that may help with hydration status, but not to the same degree as water or something liquid would. So therefore, they may end up dehydrated. And so there is an issue with people eating certain things and ignoring that. Now, how do we measure hydration? There's a really interesting paper called Water, Hydration, and Health that you can search for in PubMed, and it looks at all the different mechanisms of what's going on and how we consume, what the role is of water, or hydration, I should say. And the basic conclusion at the end of it all is that, hey, we don't really know exactly how much water somebody needs. But we may suspect that a lot of people are chronically underhydrated. Now, one of the big reasons that people have been studying this more and more, and there's a push for water, is because we tend to rely on a lot of caloric beverages these days. Now, the big reason that there's this push for more water consumption is actually likely in direct relation to the increase of caloric beverages over time. Back in the day, people would probably drink a little bit of sugar in their water, whether it's tea or coffee, but nowadays you can buy sodas with 70 grams of sugar in one drink. Or you can go out to your local smoothie place and think that you're doing something great by getting more protein in fruits and vegetables, and you're getting 1,000 calories where a good chunk of it is coming from sugar. So there's this big pushback to replace a lot of these sugar sweetened beverages, the juice, the milks, the protein shakes, and all of those with a little bit more water, because we are worried about people's total energy consumption, and overeating and taking in too much energy throughout the day is not considered good for optimal health. So that is one of the reasons why there's all this conversation around the need for drinking more pure water. So the point of this episode is not to stress too much about whether you're drinking pure water to stay hydrated, but to consider your caffeinated beverages as part of your hydration status, to question a little bit more how much your hydration status is improved by something like alcohol, and to really focus on getting moisture-rich foods. And that's going to take us to the next concept that we'll address in Friday's episode, when we're going to talk about gel or structured water and how water from plants and food are actually more hydrating than just plain water itself. And we know that water is not as hydrating as these waters in fruits and vegetables, because the studies have actually showed that we can reach a saturation level with water and not become any more hydrated. And there's a problem with that, because then we got this intracellular versus extracellular fluid balance, and that we end up peeing a whole lot more. We end up flushing out some of our minerals. And this is pretty well documented with athletes and watching them crash because they're flushing their system and becoming hyponatremic, meaning they're losing the sodium, but there's a whole lot of other minerals that get lost in that process too. So without further ado, I'll sign off here. Join me on Friday, and we're going to look at how to improve your hydration status.